We compost at schools for many reasons. One of them, we want to take materials like this, garden wastes, food wastes, manure if we have it, and turn it into a nutrient-rich material, compost, that we can add to our beds. Composting is also a great opportunity for teaching kids about decomposition. This is a rich ecological process that involves microorganisms interacting at many levels. Here we are at our aerobic composting system. We've used recycled materials to create the stalls here. What you need in order to create a good compost pile is low nutrient material like our garden waste and high nutrient material like coffee grounds or manures. We're going to mix these together in appropriate combinations along with water and oxygen so that we create a habitat for the microorganisms. Once those microorganisms are there, they'll decompose this material very quickly and turn it into compost. What we do here is we'll take this material, this is garden waste. We consider it low nutrient, but it's high in carbon, and we'll chop it up. Once we have this chopped garden waste carbon material, we'll take it and put it into our active composting stall here. This provides an important layer of high carbon materials. You want to check that moisture level. Look at your material. Does it feel moist? Compost should feel like a wet sponge, but not one that you can wring water out of. The microorganisms that we're counting on to do our decomposition and turn this material into good compost for our garden need a lot of water. That's why we put the water in here. Next, we're going to put in two types of food waste. We've got some kitchen scraps. These are cut up eggplant. And then we also have some coffee grounds. Coffee grounds are good. They're a high nitrogen material. So now we have a good thick layer of food waste here. This is high nitrogen material. This is going to mix with our high carbon material that we put below it. Now we're going to put another layer of high carbon material on top of this food waste. Now we've covered that food waste back up again with our chopped garden material. We wouldn't want to leave that food waste exposed because that's what attracts flies. We want to water again to make sure that we're keeping all this material good and wet. When you're composting, you have to remember that as your pile heats up, water evaporates off that pile all the time. After a few days, if you've done this well, the microorganisms will start to metabolize. Their body metabolism creates heat. This heat is good for your compost pile. This is what's doing a lot of the breaking down of these materials that you've put in it. The other things about the heat also kills weed seeds, can kill plant pathogens. So when you get your temperatures above 135 degrees, you know you're doing well because you're killing those pathogens and weed seeds. We use a compost thermometer here, but you can also get a soil thermometer from your nursery or garden center. I take my compost that's been decomposing here. I turn it into this last stall, and I'm going to let it sit for 2 or 3 more months. This is on the way to being done. When this is finished, it'll be a living material, full of microorganisms, full of nutrients, full of the ability to break up soils that are thick or don't hold enough water or air. We'll put this into our garden beds to make them a great place to grow healthy plants.
Here's an example of a compost bin that's made out of reused materials. These pallets can be accessed on websites like CalMax or other resource sharing sites, and it's quite easy to make. This is the BioStack, and it actually has a neat feature to it. When you're ready to flip it, supposing this was full, you would just lift this to the side and move the material and flip it in here, and then stack the next one and move the next stack of material over, and then eventually the last piece would come up, and it would be an easy way to move your bin over to flip. Here's a bin you don't have to flip, you just spin. It's the tumbler. And here's a plastic fiber bin that just holds your materials all in one place.